Hello, gorgeous souls. Welcome to the Backroad Star. Episode 1. Wow. How is everyone's week going so far? We actually had a little miracle here where I live today. I woke up to 57 degrees this morning after several 100-degree days. So the windows are open. I've got a favorite hoodie on, probably the last time until October I get to wear it. And sitting beside me is a hot sugar-free peppermint mocha. And yes, I drink peppermint mochas year-round. So tell me in the comments, what are you drinking tonight? Before we get started, if you found your way here, trust that there's a reason. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And if these conversations speak to you, I would truly appreciate your likes, comments, and subscribes so more people can find this little corner of the internet too. This channel is a space for honest conversations and quiet things many of us carry but rarely say out loud. No gurus, no pretending to have all the answers, no perfect people, just real conversations around a metaphorical campfire. A few years ago, I started feeling this strange pull to come home. I had been gone for nearly 30 years. Outside of visiting my parents, I rarely drove around the towns of my rural Oklahoma childhood. I never wanted to see anyone. I had disconnected from most all of it. And honestly, I could never fully explain why. But suddenly, every weekend, I felt this ache to come home. So in the fall of 2023, I started making the 2-hour drive from Norman, Oklahoma, back to my southwestern Oklahoma roots. I drove the red dirt roads, the old hangouts, the places I used to disappear to when I was younger. I found myself staring at stars over cotton fields, watching the sunrise by the creek, sitting quietly while the sun disappeared behind some mesquite trees near my grandfather's grave. And one evening, I pulled out my iPhone and took a picture. The next weekend, I brought my old camera gear home with me, and I started taking many pictures. Then one winter day, I was riding around with a friend from back home. He kept telling me these remember when stories, story after story after story. An afternoon I spent laughing and smiling, reliving moments I had not thought about in years. But underneath it all, I was shocked by how much I had forgotten, or maybe buried. Then one afternoon, while making the drag through town, his truck turned a corner, and suddenly I had a flashback. It took my breath away. I got quiet. I stared out the window. All I could think was, oh my God. Thankfully, he kept talking because I felt like I couldn't breathe. I tried to shake it off, but the memory stayed. It felt like it was waiting on me somehow, like it was not going to leave until I acknowledged it. And I remember silently thinking, I forgot that. God, that hurt. That hurt. And almost immediately, I felt this tightness in my chest. And then over the next few weekends, more drives, more memories, more pieces started surfacing. And before long, I was having nightmares. During the week back in the city, back at work, my chest would tighten in the middle of meetings. And all I could think was, what is wrong with me? But now I understand something I did not understand then. Nothing was wrong with me. Something unresolved was asking to be seen. Maybe some parts of us never stop wanting to be found, even after years of silence. Everywhere you look now, someone's talking about healing. Fix yourself, fix your trauma, fix your nervous system, fix your relationships. Fix him, fix her, cut people off, protect your energy, heal faster, hug your inner child, reparent yourself, become your higher self. And somewhere inside all that noise, many people are quietly wondering, maybe not saying it out loud, what does healing actually mean? I'm a book nerd. Leave it to me. I pulled out the Oxford Dictionary, and it says the process of becoming healthy again, the process of getting better after an emotional shock. Notice what it doesn't say? It doesn't say becoming perfect. It doesn't say becoming unbreakable. It does not say never struggle again. It doesn't say becoming spiritually superior. It doesn't say become impossible to hurt ever again. Healing is the process of returning to health, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, after life wounds us. And I think it is important to say this clearly and say it now. Healing is not avoidance. Healing is not pretending it never happened. It is not burying pain so deeply that you stop consciously feeling it. While it still quietly controls your life underneath the surface, for many people, survival looked like staying busy, disconnecting, overworking, people-pleasing. That one struck home. Numbing, avoiding silence long enough to feel what was underneath it all. For some people, survival became hyper-independence. That one was me again. That's a big me. For others, distractions. Constant noise, doom scrolling endlessly, never resting, never slowing down. Can you sit still? And honestly, some of those things may have helped you survive once. Many of them kept me going for years. If you were raised anything like me, sometimes the message was simple. Rub some dirt on it, shake it off, get on with it. Just keep going. There was no other choice. Just keep going. This isn't about shame. This isn't about blame. It is about awareness. Because eventually, unresolved pain has to be acknowledged. Not to destroy you, not to make you weak, but to finally be understood. Was staying busy just productivity? Or was it protection? Healing is not learning how to avoid the wound better. It is learning how to face it safely, honestly, and with compassion for yourself. And that does not mean forcing yourself to relive trauma constantly. Healing is not drowning in pain either. There is wisdom in pacing yourself. There is wisdom in support. There is wisdom in safety. And if you are listening while carrying deep trauma, grief, anxiety, or depression, please know healing sometimes requires support. There is strength in reaching out. There is strength in reaching for help. And if something in these conversations resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. This space was created so people stop feeling so alone in what they carry. You never know who may need to hear that they are not the only one who has your story. Silence keeps wounds frozen. Looking back now, I realized something else. That was only the beginning. At the time, I did not have a plan. I did not understand trauma. I did not understand triggers. I did not understand what my nervous system was trying to tell me. I just knew something inside me had started waking up. And honestly, I was 46 at the time. Trying to heal alone, without guidance, without understanding what was happening to me, was one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through in my life. Because it did not feel dramatic at first. It felt confusing, like pieces of my soul were trying to find their way home, while another part of me was terrified to remember. There were moments I questioned myself, moments I wondered if I was falling apart instead of healing, moments I wanted to shut it all back down and go numb again. I prayed for it to stop so many times, and other times I prayed God would just show it all to me all at once, so I wouldn't have to keep feeling these tiny wounds reopen slowly. Because awareness can feel overwhelming before it starts becoming free. And that is, in part, why I created this channel. Because I know there are people quietly going through this right now, thinking they are broken, when really they may just be carrying pain that was never given language, safety, or understanding. And maybe healing can begin there. Not in perfection, not in performance, but in finally being honest enough to say, that hurt. And I think it still does. By spring, my entire life felt like I was unraveling, or at least that's what it felt like at the time. But looking back now, I think I was tearing my own life apart. Like I was letting every tower fall down to the foundation, because somewhere deep inside me, I knew I could not keep living in the same cycles anymore. I could not keep wearing a mask for the world while crying in the shower so my children would not hear me. And when everything's surfacing, I leaned heavily on my faith. Honestly, there were days that was all I had. I also found podcasts, YouTube channels, books, words from strangers who somehow seemed to understand my emotions I did not yet have language for. And some of those voices genuinely helped me. Some gave me comfort, some gave me perspective. Some helped me feel less alone during one of the darkest and most confusing seasons of my life. I have always been a lover of words. I have been an avid reader since I was a child. Books were always my safe. They were always my safe space. My escape, my comfort. Now, sometimes I look at the shelves full of books collected over decades, and I can trace different seasons of my life through them, and I realize some of them became another form of avoidance too. Because gathering information is not always the same thing as healing. Consuming healing content is not always the same thing as healing. Sometimes we keep searching for one more podcast, one more book, one more breakthrough quote, one more spiritual concept, because taking the next honest step inside ourselves feels terrifying. And I say that without judgment, because learning helped me survive. Words helped me survive. But eventually, I had to stop asking, what does everyone else say healing looks like? And start asking, what is actually true inside of me? Because healing is not becoming someone else's version of healed. Truthfully, healing looks different for all of us. Healing is learning how to become honest with yourself. Who would you be if you took the mask off? Would you dare let anyone know who you really are? Would you dare anyone see the authentic you? So let's just say this now. Healing is awareness. It is not perfection. That may be one of the most important things I ever say on this channel in any episode. Because perfection keeps people trapped. I think it was Tony Robbins that said perfection is the language of a fool. Perfection says, I should never struggle again. I should already be healed. I should always know better. Awareness says, okay, I see the pattern. I see where this came from. I see what hurts, and now I have a choice. That is healing. Not becoming flawless, becoming aware. Awareness without compassion becomes self-destruction. And social media rarely talks about that part. People are learning the language of healing while still secretly hating themselves underneath it all. That is not peace. that is performance? At what point did we start believing healing meant becoming emotionally perfect? I also think healing has become trendy in some way. Social media is flooded with people trying to explain trauma, relationships, psychology, spirituality, attachment styles, shadow work, nervous systems, and generational trauma, all in 60-second clips. And while some of that awareness has genuinely helped people feel seen for the first time, sometimes the healing language becomes oversimplified. Sometimes it becomes performative. Sometimes blame replaces understanding. And slowly, some people begin identifying themselves entirely through wounds, labels, diagnoses, and pain. But most people are not trying to destroy each other. Most people are carrying pain they never learned how to process. Many parents did not know what they themselves were carrying. You do not know what you do not know. And often when people truly know better, they begin trying to do better. Because healing was never meant to become another performance, another trend, another standard to reach, another reason to feel broken. I do not think anyone searching for answers is weak. I think people are searching for answers because they are tired. Tired of carrying pain they do not fully understand. Tired of surviving. Tired of pretending. And maybe healing does not begin when we finally become perfect. Maybe healing begins the moment we become honest. Healing is not becoming someone new. Maybe healing is slowly finding your way home to all the pieces of your soul that got lost along the way. I cannot promise this journey will be easy, and I cannot promise every answer, but I can promise this space will be honest, and maybe honesty is where healing finally begins. Before you go tonight, take a deep breath. You are loved. You are safe. You are worthy. And if no one has told you lately, I believe in you. Always.